Yeah, we'll see that.
Yeah.
So who knows about Hélène Cixous? Who could tell me? Just a minute, I've just got a message.
Well, I mean, she's her writing is about, you know, écriture féminine, and sort of writing from the point of view of the body of the woman, as I understand it, and understanding within that context the repression of women because of their gender, and so she brings, it's like a kind of almost like some sort of liberation. Or emancipation is probably the wrong word. And she's also constructed her own sort of syntax, if you like, her own code within writing, has a kind of methodology within it. She's very caught up with Derrida. They're very good friends, and he describes her in some of the forwards to her book as one of the best, or the best writer in the French language. He really admired her writing. So yeah, that's some things I can say.
Yeah, she wrote, I think, a couple of texts with Derrida.
Yes.
So she's close to deconstruction. I need some readers today. We're going to read the whole text all the way through. We'll stop at places, but we'll just try and make sense of it by reading it. Vanda, could you start?
Sorry, I lost you there. I might not be the best person.
Okay, is there another reader?
Should I have a go?
Have a go.
Okay, I have taken 20. Hold on, let me just zoom in a bit to small the words. Okay. I have taken 24 steps in the direction of Bathsheba, if I'm right.
Bathsheba.
Bathsheba. Number one, to what degree it is not about a nude. Behold why between all the magic ones, I first said that one. From her I want to receive the secret messages. This female nude is not a nude. She is not made, not painted to be seen nude. Precisely her Bathsheba, she who has seen should not have been seen, she who is perceived from afar, she whom we see is not the mortal object, not the object of a desire and of the murder. It is a Bathsheba in truth. The non-nude nudity, not denuded, not unjust, clean, the characteristic, absolute Bathsheba. Without a man, can we imagine seeing her, David and Bathsheba? The name Bathsheba invokes David, but not this woman here, no. This is Bathsheba, the dark surroundings must be what is left of the David. This sort of a blackness, if this is a couple, a pair in the painting, indeed it would be the day and the night. I say the blackness, not black. Blackness isn't black. This is the last degree of the reds, the secret blood of the reds. There are so many blacks. 24, they say. I see without a man, I mean to see without an invisible man. I mean, this old woman is not. This old woman is not.
No, left to make it out.
Oh, it's here.
Oh.
Okay. To see without an interior man inside herself, without preparation, without prejudice. This woman is not Eric, erratic, and Eric, sorry, and Rembrandt's the sex, nothing to do with the Rubens sex of the flourishes, nothing to do with the Da Vinci's mirror. Rembrandt is without ostentation. The Rembrandt's sex is a metrical. Is it mattical or is it ti? Sorry, I presume it's a metrical, right?
Metrical.
It's metrical.
Let's stop there. Let's just go in. So what's the structure? What's happening with this writing?
Well, I like the way she's put 24 reasons, and then she mentions 24 colors of black, which she wouldn't have mentioned otherwise. But she's trying to get to describe what who this person Bathsheba that Rembrandt you painted is about. It's not really her. It's about obviously the female, and she's trying to use black and white and color, I think, to explain it. I don't know.
I think it also helps to know the story of Bathsheba and the background of the painting by Rembrandt. And apologies, I haven't read this, but I think that's pretty important to the understanding.
Did you say something about that background?
Yeah, I mean, the little of it that I know is that I think whether it's an apocryphal story in history that King David saw this woman bathing and fancied her, called her over, had sex with her, sent her husband to the front line where he was killed. That's kind of.
I think, yeah. Also, I mean, there's other things to the story. It's in the Hebrew Bible, that story. Yeah. And she was married to this other guy who, David had bumped off because he raped her, and that brought shame. The whole point of that was her shame. And in St. Matthew, not St. Matthew, in Matthew part of the Bible, he doesn't name her, which sort of in part indicates her shame.
Not the stuff that she didn't do.
Can I ask, with the reference to the red in number 2, talks about the colour red, degrees of red, the secret blood of reds. It's almost painting a picture of revenge in some ways against the blackness. Am I interpreting this incorrectly, do you think?
No, I don't think so. There is something about red and blood and danger and against the black. So it could be.
The black is dissolution of identity, isn't it? So that's absolute. Red is materiality.
Yeah.
But I like the way she sets up this rhythm between, I say blackness and not black. Sets up these negations. Blackness isn't black. So she reiterates, I say blackness and not black. Blackness isn't black, which is the last degree of reds. The secret blood of reds. There's so many blacks, 24 they say. Yeah.
Yeah, and this female nude is not a nude.
Yes.
Non-nude nudity. Not denuded, not undressed, so kind of negatives. So she's playing with the context of the painting. She's setting up her own language. Next reader. Who's going to read next?
I'll read. Why wouldn't Freud, for my copy, why wouldn't Freud have anything to say about Rembrandt? Because there is no family scene. One sees no menace, no transference, no projection. There's no dependence, no authority, no cruel attachment. Look at Titus. Titus is not a son, he's a boy. This is a young man, this young man is. This old woman is not maternalized. This old man is not venerabilized. The old man is old. The wars of appurtenance, of appropriation that rage in families, no violence, no insistence and profundity. And to each his or her profound destinal mission, becoming human. Number 4, what there is not in Rembrandt, there is no Da Vinci. Not the smile, not the look that takes, or the smile that flees. There is no smile, no exterior, no face that lets itself be looked at, that knows it is looked at. No face, no surface, no scene. Everything is in the interior, no representation. The passivity of Bathsheba, the despondency, the eminence drooping over her so somber heart. Number 5, there is no Vermeer, no walls, no paintings on the walls, no windows, no panes, no curtain, no nautical map on the wall, no cupboard. In Vermeer, light enters by the window on the left and draws everything is in the cell. The outside knocks on the window panes, the exterior enters the interior. The camera obscura, the machine for seeing, gives us photographic vision from foreground to background. Here, no objects in the foreground, no fruits, no spools of thread. Here, no exterior, no era, no city. Vermeer takes us to Delft, to the lace makers, eternal reconstitution. Where does Rembrandt take us? To a foreign land, our own, a foreign land, our other country. He takes us to the heart.
Let's stop there. So what's happening?
She's in a made-up world.
So it's partly his bracketing the painting, as you said. Why wouldn't Freud have anything to say about Rembrandt? There's no Da Vinci in Rembrandt. There's no Vermeer. There's no Freud. There's no Rembrandt. There's no Da Vinci. There's no Vermeer. But that's beautiful to take us to a foreign land, our own, a foreign land, no other country, takes us to the heart. So she's already beginning to make a step towards the interior of the painting.
Yeah.
Makes me think of some of the articles we've been talking about so far, and I don't want to. This might be inappropriate because I don't want to deny the sort of the redness and the colours of blackness and the sense of menace. But I was initially in the first reading thinking about the article from Graham Harman and the banana, and the banana is itself is a banana. It's more than what it is when it's consumed or when it's thrown. But then also last week there's discussion about concepts and art emerging out of the non-conceptual, and it seems that those examples of maps or windows or smiles are sort of symbols that or Freud, it's sort of the language of symbols, and it seems that it's being suggested that that this representation of Bathsheba is the absolute Bathsheba, the Bathsheba beyond the symbolic.
I mean, if it's stripped of all symbolic anchorage, no windows, no maps, no chain of signification which would locate it anywhere else other than this foreign land or country, takes us to the heart. So that's the conceptual mood, isn't it? To take us to this foreign land where we find this figure of Bathsheba who's going to be our guide to the interior, to a strange interior. So already it's not a picture, it's not a stripped of verisimilitude or lightness. Let's go on. We'd like to, if you'd like to continue to read, or you'd like someone else to read.
Somebody else read.
I can read. One must penetrate into the country, says Van Gogh. Stay in the Midi until by penetration you become it. Sharpens one eye on the land. Cézanne being absolutely from the very land. He knows it so intimately, one must make the same calculation internally in order to arrive at tones like this, firm tones. Rembrandt's very land, neither the city nor the countryside, the interior land, the landscape of the interior Bible. I say the Bible, that is to say, the land of the most ancient passions. It is a land without landscape, without monuments, but not without form and without inhabitants. How to get there, how to get inside a star, Van Gogh wondered. The fastest method of transportation is not the train, it's death. And to get inside the interior Bible, one must take the stairs and plunge into the flesh, down to the farthest memory. It's dark here, we're down below, we're here, in the breast, immediately, such an absence of exterior. The country is a room of palpitating folds. What I feel, this obscurity, it is the troubled air of our secrets, those that govern us and that we are not really aware of. We, Bathsheba, are in the secret. The secret surrounds us. Bathsheba is seated in our room, in our breast, like a luminous heart. She contains the light. The light doesn't spill out. The body, bread of light. I verify. Where is the light coming from? The shadow of the ribbon on Bathsheba's skin tells us that a strong light is coming from the left. but the pearly lustre of the triangular lining under the servant's cap tells us that a stream of light must be rising up from the right. The source of the light is cut off, the light remains, the secret fire that emanates from the flesh.
We'll stop there. There's a kind of rhythm starting to take over, isn't there? Becoming less interrupted writing, much more fluid. Why do you think that is? What's kind of got
I think there's a tension to it which keeps it skipping along. It feels like it's, leading somewhere all the time.
You don't know where it's quite going to go as well, do you? You're not getting it in advance, the sense of a schema that's already in place, which has got a logic to it. It's not logical, but it's rhythmical.
Also, the style of text has changed. The pages before had a lot of the word not this, not that. Therefore, it's almost like shaving our imagination, shaving off. There isn't no walls, no pictures, no ornaments, no fruit. And now they're starting to paint a different picture. It's almost like going down a tunnel and creating a different sort of atmosphere. It's where we've got sort of lights coming in from different ways, and it's almost like creating an atmospheric scent, a sort of aroma.
Let's continue. Just read one more.
Mm-hmm. 8. Of what secret lights are we made? Of what densities? What Rembrandt gives back to us, the dough, the depth, the tactile, that which we lose, which we have lost, who we live flat, without density, in silhouettes on a screen, the interior radiance. A scene by Rembrandt, let's take a family scene, or a scene like this one, a sense of corporation. What gives it its force, by which it takes us, pushes us, pinches us, caresses us, is beyond courtly war exchanges, beyond pretenses, codes. That it always occurs at the same time in the cellar, in the cave, or in the forest, in these great and sombre prehistoric cathedrals where our colours, our drawings stir, where attraction and repulsion shine, like lanterns in our obscurity. It is there, to the bottom, that Rembrandt leads us, taking the red staircase down to the bottom of ourselves under the earth's crust. This world is full of night and of golden stuff. The stuff of night is a clay, a mud. It is still moving imperceptibly. No landscape and no furniture either. Instead of furniture, shelving, shelves of colour, bands, brushstrokes. What do you see there? A man said to me, here's a cupboard with linens piled up. Another man, this one a painter, an architectural background, a pilaster. A commentator said to me, the curtain has been drawn aside. We have such a need of cupboards, of curtains, such a need to furnish. The interior world is full of night and golden stuff, of the stuff of night, spools of nights. Curtains, the curtains have been drawn aside. The stuff, the linens, the dark golds, the white golds, border on, play in major and minor. The body's blonde gold. The entire room is flesh, sex. The curtains have raised themselves like eyelids uncovering the clear pupil, the luminous body of Bathsheba. I notice the sensation of curtains drawn aside, as if our naivety were thinking this light in the cup of flesh only exists hidden, preserved, its intimacy. We can never see it except by indiscretion. See the incredible Holy Family at the curtain. It's about magic, how to make us feel the intimacy of intimacy, the intimitude. We are graced with being shown what is hidden behind the curtain, same gesture as for gazing at a baby in its cradle. We lean over, pull the sheet aside, the veil, the curtain, taking care not to tear it from its intimacy. Bathsheba in the cradle sleeps before us, very near, very far from us. It's about the discrete sensation of revelation. We see a mixture of slowness and agitation. The moment is just after, not yet. It does not yet have a name.
Okay, we'll stop there. Again, there's another change in rhythm, isn't there? It reads differently. It speeds up, becomes more fluid. What's happening to dictate that? What's this change in pace? What Rembrandt gives back to us, the dough, the depth, the tactile, that which we lose, which we have lost. We who live flat without density in silhouettes on a screen, the interior radiance. She's introduced us to the inside, and she's in a way trying to get us to participate on a level of ontology, the nature of being, how it implicates being.
There also, see, I mean, I don't know if this is to say the same thing, but there seems to be something. Yeah, I didn't pre-read this text, but it seems like the energy. I'm not sure how I feel about it within the context of what we've read before, but there seems to be something at the speed of sexual excitement and sexual energy. The curtains being pulled aside, the intimacy of intimacy, the sort of the kind of penetration, the internality, the sort of the light and energy of sort of the moment after, the moment before. I'm not sure whether we're being kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is kind of recuperative poetic sex, or if there's a kind of complicity in the violence that was described before, but there's something I feel kind of very sexually charged about that bit of text.
Yeah, the entire room is flesh. It's quite a strong statement.
It's as she is moving around the faculties. She engaged first with the cognitive faculty. This, not that, this, not that, this, not that. And she deals with sensations. Not this black, and red. and that now he's taking us into an imaginary order where temporalities are kind of merged together. You begin to get a rhythm of the whole space. You get a play, these signifying chains, the stuff, the linens, the dark golds, the white golds, border on play in Maja Maida, the body's blonde gold. The entire room is flesh, sex. The curtains raise themselves like eyelids, uncovering the clear pupil, the luminous body of Bathsheba. I noticed the sensation of curtains drawn aside, as if our naivety were thinking this light in a cup of flesh only exists hidden, preserved its intimacy. We can never see it except in indiscretion.
Mm.
I mean, it's really charged.
Mm.
The phrase "spools of night," where did that come from? I mean, she's really beginning to move language around now, really beginning to give it charge and force. Let language do its work. The interior world is full of night and golden stuff, the stuff of night, spools of night. I mean, what was a couple of sentences?
Mm.
We see a mixture of slowness and agitation, a moment just after, not yet. It does not yet have a name. Anyway, let's move on. We'd like to do 9 and 10 and 11 maybe.
I'm happy to have a go.
Good.
With what is she painted? Van Gogh said that Delacroix said that Veronese painted white blonde naked women with a color which, by itself, greatly resembles street mud. Van Gogh wants to paint with the earth, to mold. With what mud is Bathsheba painted? With what earth? With the flesh's butter, with ghee, that rosy blonde butter, libations. Bathsheba nude. I see Rembrandt painting the veil that doesn't hide a thing on her groin. Rembrandt grazing Bathsheba's groin with a veil. The veil, a nothing that creates the nudity. Without this transparent nothing, we would forget she is nude. Bathsheba is in person, in a dressing gown, in body. It is the body that is the face. She does not look at us. She is of those who do not look at us. I mean to say, those women, Bathsheba, Mary, Henrique, don't look at us, don't stop living. That is to say, dreaming. That is to say, leaving in order to look at us. Draw, they take their leave slowly. A thought carries them toward the unknown, far away. We hear, barely, the call from afar. And we, looking at them, we see thought taking its leave. We see thought. It is a portrait of thought according to Rembrandt. Thought is not the weighty thinker seated. It passes, inside, distracted, traveling. It is the foreigner, the stranger. He paints the foreigner, the stranger in me, in you. The times when under the letter's sway, we suddenly become the stranger, the foreigner in ourselves. We separate ourselves from ourselves. We lose ourselves, from sight also. He catches, paints the points of departure, the hour when destiny slips from our eyes. Everything seems domestic, and yet such strangeness wells up in our eyes like tears. It's that she is already gone, she who is called Bathsheba, but the body remains. That much more body, that much more flesh, that much heavier here, now that she, Bathsheba, is elsewhere. Face is traveling, a great silence reigns in the painting. What are you thinking about, we wonder? Keep going, or?
Just one more.
Okay. A nude woman thinking, thoughtful body. On the one hand, the thoughtfulness accentuates the nudity, naked nudity, nudity unthought, unattended to, unkept, given. What does a naked woman think about? Her rapport to her body, always the slight attention, like a veil, the glance or the gaze. Whenever I'm naked, I don't look at myself, I cast a glance my way, the glance of the other, of you, me, at me. But no, Bathsheba does not look at her body. She is not before herself. She is not here. She is gone behind the eyelids. On the other hand, the person who thinks in front of us abandons us. A very slight betrayal rouses us. We miss her a little, she who is only a little bit here, absent, distracted. She is abstracted from us. He doesn't paint great historical subjects, said a contemporary. He paints thoughts. Roger de Piles, 1699, Paris. He paints thoughtfulness, the absence in the body, this leave-taking by the soul that leaves the body deserted like a living tomb. We think we're parting.
Thank you. So what's happening?
Well, I guess just at the start of that passage, the veil makes the nude into nudity, so you become conscious of it.
Where's it moving? For those who haven't read it.
So, what was the question? When is it moving?
Where's it moving? What's it trying to do?
Maybe going from outwards to inwards.
And then what does she do within inwards?
Stillness. And pause.
That much more body, that much more flesh, that much heavier here. Now that she is Bathsheba, is elsewhere. The faces traveling in great silence, reigns in the painting. What are you thinking about? We wonder. So she introduces the thoughtful body alone with the self.
Yeah, well, it's like having taken us into the interior, she's now saying that there's a part of the interior that we won't be able to access. So she's turning interior again, kind of away from us.
So it's another step. Okay, so someone do 12, 13 and 14, I think.
Okay, I will read. The older woman further down at the bottom is a remainder. She comes back to us from the drawing. Bathsheba is also then this other woman. The woman with the cap is Bathsheba's strange foreignness, her exoticism, Asia. Nude with a cap, extravagance, something aberrant in the coiffed nudity, and the coif, oriental. This nude cut in two, the body is Bathsheba's, the coif is the old woman's, the cap is at work. The servant's gaze moves off towards the future in the east. Bathsheba's gaze withdraws towards the ostental future. The two gazes descend slowly towards the bottom, cross each other, don't see each other, are on two parallel planes. The two women withdraw from the scene thoughtfully. The servant wipes Bathsheba's feet distractedly. She is elsewhere, they are elsewhere, in soul they are elsewhere. The body left weighs more heavily. What is the servant thinking about? These two women are daydreaming of the end of the year. At the end of the year, a path will have been lost. The end of the year. At first glance, at 10th glance, this is the face that is at first, I see. I should say this demi face. We call this profile. In fact, it is a side, a half, a demi-star. The other side belongs to the night. I will never know when, but half of Bathsheba, the illuminated part. Something unreadable catches my eyes. Maybe this, I tell myself after a long time. It is something that glides from head to toe. A motionless movement, a transformation. Now I see it, it is time, and even. It is time's writing, it is age. From the young head, the body goes forward, aging imperceptibly. Ah, so that's what was gripping my heart. This young woman is in the process of aging. The future is spreading through her limbs. Her breasts are still childlike. Already her pelvis, her thighs, her legs are in the hands of age. What? I mustn't say this, but this is nonetheless what Rembrandt paints. The passion, the suffering of Bathsheba starts here in the body between the knees, where floats the letter. The violence of the letter, at first I didn't see it, the letter. Little by little, the letter captures the gazes. At first I looked at the body. This body that lets itself fall into itself. That weight, weighing, pull, against. I looked at the body's dough, the flesh furnishes, without muscles. See the muscled thighs of the woman bathing. A despondency, a protestation of an animal that knows itself promised to the sacrifice. The body lowers its head. It seems there's been a... I can't read that word at all.
Pentemonte.
Pentemonte of the head. Whereas all the women rise in one way or another, even the modest ones, even Hendry, they must have muscles or a cap. Bathsheba is drooping, slightly, chin drooping. An indolence has seized her. Dejection, resignation. How she holds the letter, weariness. She might drop it. Shall I carry on?
Oh, just stop for a while. Thank you for that. What would it feel like to write like this? I'm assuming you don't write like this. I apologize if you do write like this. What do you need to let go of?
Well, it's making another art. It's making its own standalone artwork, separate from the artwork that's being talked about.
So it makes an autonomy of space. It's not dependent upon it's not indexical.
It reminds me a little bit of Walter Benjamin's essay on Paul Klee's, what is it, Angelus Novellus?
Yeah.
You know, or is it, and also was it Sartre's writing on Giacometti?
Genet's writing on Giacometti.
Genet's writing on Giacometti. And, you know, it's kind of in that, it seems to me kind of in that order.
But so much more radical, even than Genet. If it is radical, what's its radicality? I mean, does it give you the feeling you want to continue to read? Does it have a momentum, an imminence to it?
Yes, yes. There's something that draws you in. It sort of strings you along. There's sort of threads that you're almost caught up in a web.
I mean, its object is multiple, isn't it? It moves its object around in space. It doesn't fix identity, but moves identity. Just as it moves colour.
It's also suggestive. It's almost like painting another painting of the painting in a thought process, questioning, nudging. Slightly suggestive in a gentle way.
But where do you think you get figures from, turns of phrasing? So there's a letter. There's always a letter. The letter, what violence, how it seeks us out, how it enters us, especially women. I mean, writing is a process of collecting together something. What does she collect? Is it thought process or sensations or knowledges or is it all those things?
I guess it would be, to me, it seems more thought process than sensation, though sensation comes into it.
But how would you work it out? How would you work out how to, if it's cognitive? How do you work cognitively a text like this?
Well, I think she's trying to read it, or is reading into the painting, and it's, you know, not that it matters, but it may or may not have been, you know, what Rembrandt was thinking when he painted it, but it doesn't really matter actually. But she's using it as a basis for her cogitations.
It seems that by
kind of removing the objective thinking, diving into the subjective process of thinking. They are appropriating the figure into a literature artwork itself.
So it becomes its own object.
Yes. It has its own existence separate from the art itself, but yet parallel in a way.
So this is deeply disturbing for an art historian who wants to know the knowledges which can pertain to the object in question. I mean, it sort of shatters the sense of objectification of the work itself. Is it purely subjectification? Or does it do something else which isn't binary, isn't an object-subject sort of relationship?
There's definitely the relationship definitely exists. I don't think I can read this without the object itself, the artwork itself. So somehow there's this strong dependency of this literature and the artwork. Although the artwork itself contains its own story within itself, separate from the literature, but literature can't live without the artwork. But yet keep its own separate feelings and emotion and personality. Which I find very refreshing.
We'd like to continue with the next section. Have we run out of speakers? Speakers.
I can read a bit.
Okay, good.
What page are we on, actually? I was looking back at the beginning. Where did we get to? The letter. Which bit of it? Now she holds the letter.
Oh, we got to number 15.
Yeah. I just found it. So I was looking back at the beginning. Okay, 15. The victory of the letter, the slow rise to the surface, the insistence. So there is a letter. There is always a letter. The letter, what violence, how it seeks us out, how it aims at us, especially women. And more often than joy, it is some death it brings to us. I don't know why I hadn't seen it. And you? What's a letter? Next to a big body full of buttered light, a crumpled paper next to these unctuous linens. Suddenly I'm letter-struck, and I see only it. This letter. No, it's a hole in the body of the painting, the rent, the tear in the night. If I see the letter, I can no longer see Bathsheba. And now that I have it in my eyes, on the letter, I have my eyes on the letter, I see that it's the letter that spills the shadow onto Bathsheba's left leg. This letter is in opposition to the veil, to the linen, to the reading. It is a letter from the back. It turns its back on us. When I wanted to read it, forever forbidden, to paint a letter seen from the back, the door is closed. It is David. An old tale whispers to me. David is the outsider, the outside, the stranger, invisible.
David and Bathsheba. That's it. It is Bathsheba to the letter. The letter resounds throughout the entire painting. This painting is divided more or less into two triangles, shadow of gold and carnal, light of flesh. In the center, the stroke of the letter. The letter has just been read. The two women are under the letter's sway. The letter has taken their breath away, has dispatched them over there into the closed time, before the closed doors in the future, to the future. Here, in the painting, in the tent, they had already passed the present, already passed, falls in heavy folds towards the bottom. How white the letter is in the middle of the painting, of a shadowy, rosy whiteness. The letter is within the scale, so it is a part of Bathsheba's colors. Letter one neither holds onto nor drops, holds the entire painting under the indecipherable charm of its breath. And how red the stain is at the corner of the letter, like a signature, the mark on the shoulder, a touch of purple on the white, sign or signature, piece of red seal, a bit of wax. So is it realistic? No, it's red. It is an element. Incarnadine. Portrait of sadness, presentiment of mourning, Bathsheba's sadness. She becomes sad under the insistence of our gaze. The mouth made for smiling, the mouth doesn't droop. The sadness is in the brow. The brow slightly rises like thought slightly rises as it attempts to think farther.
There's one more.
I've just seen in the collection The Lace Maker, The Astronomer by Vermeer, Erasmus by Hogan. The Lace Maker is a sublime still life. I remained in contemplation before the light and shadow of the lace maker's fingers. The sculptured aspect of the light. The lace maker is a Cézanne by its ridges. The lace maker is perfect in its every detail. It is a treasure chest full of precious colors. It isn't lacking in anything. We feel a great satisfaction. Like before the perfection of a doll's house, everything is there, down to the smallest cooking pot. And into the bargain, there are those yellows. Everything is in order in the house. Erasmus hasn't changed. It's really him, today, as 3 centuries ago. The same dry, thin-lipped man. Erasmus' appearance hasn't changed in 3 centuries. It is a photograph. There is no interior. Hogan is the master of the genial splendor of realism. I imagine the surprise of his contemporaries, such a resemblance. It seems that certain buyers would complain about the lack of resemblance in Rembrandt's portraits. What must resemblance resemble?
Thank you.
Fucking so sexual in a taxi now. But she's philosophically, yeah, sort of this whole thing about moving to death, towards death, and also bringing in a sort of, I guess, Freud or psychoanalysis quite a lot as well. It's like she's trying to negotiate the two within the meaning of the painting. I don't know what you've got to say about that kind of thing.
It wasn't very clear. You're muffled. Can you hear me, Vanessa? lost the connection.
I mean, to just almost jump in on the poetry of that, it seemed to me that this, at least I'm feeling at this stage, a sort of weight of politicization of sort of the muffling of women in the way that we couldn't really hear Vanda. And I'm sort of reflecting on parts of the article that there was, I'll misremember this, but there was something earlier which I quite liked that was something like Van Gogh said that, Varanasi said that, Velasquez said that, Rembrandt, ... and there was this kind of a sense of movement, of thought, a sort of stream of multiple consciousnesses, but also there's been a continual weight of this male gaze, and you know, in this last piece, it's Erasmus, the sort of the knowledgeable male humanist, Holbein, and this idea of a letter, which seemed, I don't know, interestingly kind of male, this masculine presence. I don't know whether it's the letter from, I mean, I don't know the biblical story enough to know. I remember it was Uriah the Hittite was the husband. Is it from him to say, sorry, but I'm going to the front? Is it from his commanding officer to say, sorry, but your husband's dead? Or is it from David to say, sorry for assaulting you? Or from the prophet Isaiah, who I think is, you know, this whole story is almost a kind of a parable, you know, for him just to say, you know, David, you know, let him have no sin, cast the first stone. That was pretty poor form. So, you know, you should treat others with a bit of leniency. But in all of these cases, there is this heavy kind of male presence, which is delivering the law or the word, or, you know, and I don't know, I found something kind of really interesting in that last piece about this quite, I don't know, there's something dead about that. I don't know the way it was kind of the whiteness of it. I think it was a sort of pinky white. There was something kind of almost alien about its presence. Something, it was a tear, there was something quite violent about its presence. And yeah, something about women just having to suffer that, I suppose. And kind of lose, I don't know, the intimacy that we were, the vitality that has also been kind of engaged with in this piece. It's just, you know, it can all just be reduced to a letter or something.
I mean, it seems also to fluctuate between being very deconstructive writing, very almost dry, to being very dense and literary, poetic literacy. So I really get this feeling of the import or the relationship to the faculties and the movement of the faculties and the combining and recombining of faculties through the voice. And she's speaking from different parts of the body as if language is circulating inside, and it finds different positions or different organs from which to register its own difference. So who's going to do 19? '19 to 20. Who's on red?
Guess I can do if you want.
No.
Sorry, 19, you said.
19.
And in order to paint this, one must be dead. He paints like a dead man, like a poet, like a dead man. See why Van Gogh placed Rembrandt apart elsewhere? Rembrandt remains faithful to nature, even when there too and still he goes to the highest heights, infinite heights. But just the same, Rembrandt could still do otherwise when he didn't feel the need to remain faithful in the literal sense of the word, like in the portrait, when he could be a poet, that is to say, a creator. That is what he is in the Jewish pride. What an immense, profound, noble sentiment. One must die several times in order to paint like this. Now this is a remark one could apply to him. Rembrandt penetrates so far into the mystery that he says things no language can express. It is just of us to say of Rembrandt, the magician, this is not an easy craft. The craft of death isn't easy. What does it mean? For example, it isn't with the appetite of desire that Rembrandt paints Bathsheba. It's with the attentive love for the creature, for the miracle of existing, the profound amazement, the joyous without splendor, almost pious, because this invention, the human being, nothing royal, nothing extraordinary, the sober splendor of the ordinary. What is marvelous? The ordinary metamorphosis. These people are subject to alteration, to time. Time is of work, and not just time, everything that endlessly paints us from the inside. All the blows and messages that knock at the door to the heart, the paint from the inside, the trouble, nervous agitation we call soul. The soul, our capacity to suffer, said to vita, I don't know, that which wells up in Bathsheba, that which the letter has poured into her body, into her organs, into her brain, and which is worked on her body, her face, her brow, from the inside. She listened to this transport in herself, which is still new, mobile, momentary. She doesn't know who. Shortly she'll be traversed. St. Matthew 2, transfixed, cocked, all ears. He paints us, listens to ourselves change. On the one hand, he paints the heavy silence of Bathsheba. On the other, he paints the voice that causes writing, the voice. How to paint the voice? We don't see the voice. Rembrandt paints the voice we do not see, paints what we do not see, paints what speaks inside the word, the angel. I see St. Matthew and the angel. What I love is the proximity of the invisible, the hand on the shoulder, the voice's hand, because the mystery of the voice is this: it is that it touches us. And also this angel so close, so flesh, who is but a head and a hand, the body we imagine it. Angel, the angel I imagine to say the voice, the body is on tiptoe. It is the
Tension.
Tension towards the ear we're aiming for. I appreciate the truth is that the angel is part of St. Matthew. This man has the erroneous square build. He radiates force, ruggedness, the wind. He passes from the road and the forest to the writing table. His cheeks are struck by the air, coloured by intertemperate weather. One would think an earthy sailor, a woodcutter, a giant tamed by tenderness, a heavy handsome man touched by grace. The angel is his grace. Rembrandt paints the letter. That which was metaphor is made flesh. The voice comes from very far, very near, with all his weight. With his whole forehead, his whole mane, the man listens. The voice of the angel passes through his throat. Rembrandt paints this mysterious thing that mobilizes the body, the state of creation. Writing, thinking, is being in a state of waiting for what is yet to come, but proclaims itself. Proclamation and immanence, a force stronger than myself, comes up from behind me, and I guess painting is the same way, with the angel at your shoulder and ears that listen and do not see. This is also the attitude of the philosopher mediating. The philosopher is listening. He is nothing but an ear, an audition, slightly turned away from the light, from the book, from the bust, hence pointed towards the mouth, obscure ear. What is a philosopher mediating? A some conch? Mediation takes place at the bottom of the staircase.
Thank you. Shifts again. Shall we continue? We'd like to read.
I mean, I would say there's a constant play between two types of speech, right? There's this speech that's descriptive in some sense. I don't know what is it. It signifies what's going on, and then there's this other, almost poetry going on another level. And without the two, you can't communicate. Through the two, she communicates, and I think that's similar to the portraits that she's describing, right? Or the painting she's describing. They work on two levels. They have the descriptive, and they also have the, you've got a semiotic, is that?
Signifying and signifying.
Yeah. There's two levels, and she drifts between the two. It's at times it's a bit like reading
I once introduced
Joyce or something like that.
I once introduced a philosopher, Dutman, and I said, it's not just a case of listening, but of listening with two ears, to alternate the ears you listen with, so simultaneously listen with both ears but one, picking up tone and rhythm and spacing, the other with meaning. But unless you listen with both ears and shift the ears constantly, you don't get it. You miss it.
I kind of think this reference to the gaze and the and death, kind of being subject to the gaze. You're subdued. You don't have that. You're deprived of that other aspect of life, and that's maybe some type of melancholy at the back of this. If you kind of confined in that way to the gaze, you've been deprived of this by all these painters. Maybe that's part of the politics of this.
Next reader.
I can read. 21. We have lost our heads a bit, for we are on the road to our most violent, most foreign fellow creature. The ox, the hermit, the turned upside down, the acrobat, the paralyzed, the ancient choir, the truth. You as I see you when I see you as you really are. And to do this I have to draw the curtains aside, to slaughter you, to open you up with my gaze only. And then naturally it is me that I see, it is us, nude, it is our nuditude, magnificent, our power-bound, our shining blindness. Why do we adore the slaughtered ox? Because without our knowing it or wanting it, it is our anonymous humanity. We are not Christ, never Christ. No, I will not speak of this. We are this creature which even turned upside down and decapitated and hung beneath the earth, when it is seen with those eyes that don't reject the below, that don't prefer the above, maintains its majesty. Behold the portrait of our mortality, the being hung by its shins turned upside down, twice decapitated. What we become under the axe and the slicer. There is a butcher's shop on our life's path. As children we would pass, trembling before the butcher's window. Later on we want to forget death. We cut the dead one up into pieces and we call it meat. And the curtain or the frame. To see the ox we must enter into the painting. The ox is framed. The frame is in the interior of the painting. The painting has two doors, one in front, one in back. Let's enter. We enter by the front door. We're standing in the cellar. The ox is a lamp, an enormous hanging lamp. It is the aster of this night. It irradiates. The ox is beautiful. The ox shines in the darkness. Where? Back of a shop, cellar, tomb. The ox is a gigantic ingot of flesh. The ox is bound. The ox is nude. Who are we contemplating? Samson's truth or Rembrandt's? The blind, the freed, the powerful slaughtered, the gazed upon, who by their magnificent helplessness fills us with wonder. The vanquished sparkles, vanquished but strong. Nothing less realistic to paint this, with what admiration, what love. The ox is held to the bottom, and there are no angels. The huge body is sideways. Everything adds to the impression that someone has left it all alone. All of a sudden I see it's about our captivity. The ox is dazzling, the ox is pregnant with light, to the extent that we don't see the woman's head, advancing prudently in a halo of weak light. The light seems to be the luminous shadow projected by the flesh. In reality, it is doubtless coming from behind the door. The woman pokes her head in through the doorway to see. Furtiveness, as if she were looking at what mustn't be looked at. Clandestine glance. Curiosity wonders, is it there? Who's there? What's hidden there? To one side, the powerful body, the incarnation of slaughtered power, hung by its feet. Why is the ox hung head down, the absence of a head down there? On the other, the small head without a body, the question. But we don't see her. The shining of the ox attracts my entire gaze, attracts us. We are attracted by the open ox as by the illuminated carriage opening of a palace. The light calls, we advance, let's enter. Here all is golden purpose. We are purple, we are in the breast. Before me spreads the agitated space with its sombre thicknesses of fatty haunted gold, so it seems in the purple distances of the canvas, of flayed scarlet stairs in the geological matter, the ground sheer like a deep hanging, past upon past my minds, my reserve difficult to access but overflowing if I arrive with thoughts, with passions, with kin before me my personal foreign land. Everything in the nearby over there is mine. Everything is strangely foreign to me. Everything that in its night though I discern for the first time, I recognize. The world before me, so great, is inside. It is the immense, limitless life hidden behind the restricted life. Do you see the steps? To the right, some sombre steps tell us we are down below in the cellar, sombre descending steps. But here we climb up, these steps here, the interior gold and purple steps, lead us up towards the heights, towards the heart of the temple. What are we present at? At a mystery, at a solemn representation. This is not the crucifixion. This is the passion, according to Rembrandt, mourning and transfiguration of the ox. It is there in the cellar that I divine. What does he seek to paint of Bathsheba? Her solitude of slaughtered ox, Bathsheba or the slaughtered ox. P.S. Reading the big catalogues, I look for the slaughtered ox, for example, in the Gerson's beautiful volume on Rembrandt. I flick through the index. The author has classified the work according to rubrics: portraits, self-portraits, portraits of men, portraits of women, portraits of children, groups. I'm looking for the ox. Landscapes, I finally find it. It is in interiors, keeping company with the philosopher mediating.
Thank you. So what's the turn towards the ox?
Well, it's like another luminous, fleshy body in the otherwise darkness, isn't it?
Mm.
And it's upside down. And it's decapitated. And it's nude.
It's interesting to me how beauty and violence are next to one another, and it reminds me of Bill Viola, how he says if you want to see violence, you need to have an expression of beauty next to it, and vice versa, the contrast.
is it suggestive of what's in the letter about her husband being killed on the battlefield, about the war and death and the upside downness of what happened? In a way, something happened that shouldn't have happened because they were a young couple, and so there's been an interruption and a confusion.
He writes differently about the ox. It suddenly gains a sort of momentum. It functions like a kind of conclusion, but it's got too much momentum to be a conclusion. It doesn't look back, it goes forward. And it's very surprising framing. The ox is dazzling, the ox is pregnant with light. To the extent we don't see the woman's head advancing prudently in the halo of weak light. The light seems to illumine a shadow projected by the flat, as if she is getting flesh and light to really take hold of the figuration which is occurring.
Well, it isn't the end of the story, though, for Bathsheba, because she's then reacting to what she's read in the letter. So she's becoming someone, and so it seems right that it doesn't end from what she said before. But the letter changes, so the way of writing changes. Something keeps moving on, but it's different now.
I mean, it's wonderful how she keeps both the object of attention and the subject of perception mobile. They keep changing around. And she allows, through this shift of polarity, she allows the shift of writing to occur. So the text keeps attracting different velocities. I mean, it's highly interrupted, it's sculpted, it's laying down the schemas for what's to follow. There's all sorts of resolutions and completions as it continues towards the end. As if she's abolished inside and outside, purely mobile, fluid. Does the structure work? The 25 steps?
4.
Or 24?
Yes, it does work. It does work.
She subverts the usual use of numbers, which are normally aphoristic or conceptual or programmatic. She does something else with the numbering.
There's also the translator's notes. There's a bit, if you look at them, some of them say that they don't have the equivalent in English. Some of the words, they just don't exist in English. They don't have the same significance. So we might have lost a bit in translation.
I'm glad we've read it all.
Mm.
I'm just taking out little bits of it. I mean, the marvelous thing is the subject is bodies, but it forms a body.
Yeah.
The writing's a body. A highly modulated, constructive body. Any last thoughts? There's a short presentation. You want to present, Karen, or do you want to leave it till next week?
Well, it's up to you.